Thank you very much. Good morning, viewers, wherever you are in Africa. Thank you, and the world, watching all over from London, from America, United States of America, watching in Europe, in Stockholm, in Oslo, in Paris, in Scandinavian countries, all of you in China, in Russia, good morning. Wherever you are, afternoon in Australia and New Zealand, good morning, Africa. We are just going to midday. A few minutes to midday, which is about 13 minutes to midday, we shall be home. Thank you very much, viewers. We are watching Punchline Africa Television, the only Pan-African station that talks about Africa, what ails Africa, what brings wars in this continent of Africa. Why Africa? Every war seems to be a war designed for Africa. People have not left us. The first colonial boundaries, 1884, brought us states in Africa. The second struggle was military coups. The second struggle was independence. Third struggle was military coups. Remember in the 60s, 70s, 80s, generals, army generals walked to the military, out of military barracks to overthrow governments. Now, after that is the wave of democracy came to Africa. A new blue boys arrived on the scene. The people who took over from the military dictatorships of Mengistu Haile Mariam in Rwanda, those who took over from Abirimana, in Uganda, those who took over from Milton Obote, and many other countries. Nyerere went down. God took him to where he's supposed to be. The countries of East Africa and Africa changed. The post-colonial emergence of things have created quite a lot of difficulties for our East African region. Patrice Lumumba, a man 1961 killed, murdered by Belgians. They hid his grave, his remains until last Saturday, when they said they have now got the body of Patrice Lumumba, they can repatriate it to DRC Congo. We have seen turmoil in South Sudan. In Mogadishu, 1991, it fell. Siad Barre was overthrown. That country has never recovered from the shocks of the collapse of Siad Barre regime. In Maputo, we saw Samora Machel, the second liberation of this continent, fall at the height of an airplane. His body was never recovered. We have seen the remains of several people in Zimbabwe, the emergency of the Africa struggle, the first liberation Chimurenga of President Robert Mugabe. He is also gone. We've seen now Emerson Mnangagwa, the second or third liberation of the struggle of the people of Africa. It is where in Malawi, everybody left. Kamuzu Banda went. The region remained stable. Democracy was out of the window. Elsewhere in Zambia, Kaunda remains alive. Lungu in power. 3 presidents who took over from Kaunda died. I don't know whether people know them. Lowassa, sorry, not Lowassa, Manawasa, Chiruba, and Satya. This information is in this head here. So thank you very much, viewers. That's why I encourage people to take their children to school and never to allow children to come back to school when the schools are not in good conditions. Magoha, remember that. If you do it, we shall remove you from that office. Today, that is a serious threat. Don't allow the children to come back to school. These children have no toilets. There's no water. There are no desks to sit on. So thank you very much, but there's a proxy war. Habyarimana goes down by plane. Burundi loses a hero who had, together with us, agreed to leave ICC. We persuaded him to get out of ICC. Professor will tell you he was a great guy. The only African leader who ever left ICC, International Criminal Court. This changes one country in East Africa. Still has one president when 5 presidents have left. Kenya has had 2 and they have gone. Is this the Africa we want? Let me bring in my panel. All the way, I will introduce them, Professor Onyari, our in-house analyst, our guest from London, Juliet Makapira, a social interactive program community worker, politician stroke, works for Liberal Democrats in Parliament, the party that will never have power for years and years. And down in Malindi, we have our able, the legacy trend, the teacher herself, but who has said, hello, teaching is aside, let me do some journalism, analysis, very good analysis from Karen Josephs in Malindi. Thank you, welcome to the show. Here on the other end, we have Mr. Colombo, Sean Wesonga. We call him Colombo because Sean Wesonga dresses like a Colombo. Any of you who has seen the books of Colombo and the films, you will agree that he's Colombo. Mm-hmm. And he's an investigative journalist of Punchline Africa. Professor on top there is a conflict resolution expert, a champion of the church, a peacemaker, a community worker, an internationalist, a man who does not believe in tribe or nation, is a global citizen like a David Matanga. In the studio, back in the Nairobi, we have one of the best of mine, of Punchline Africa TV. She's one of my best presenters, a senior presenter, an able, humble person, Miriam Ogutu. Good morning.
A very good morning to you, Doctor, and the rest of our panelists, and good morning to our viewers.
Thank you very much. Juliet Makapira, you have heard my opening remarks. Miriam will give you facts. There is a proxy war here, and this show is a diplomatic show. We don't tell lies. We talk about African countries. We bring in security, economy, economics, trade, oil, discovery, tourism. Is a junk of all trade. And we don't limit ourselves. We are not diplomats. We don't carry red passports, which are given free for people who do nothing. Have you ever assessed what the diplomats do? Have you ever assessed what diplomats do? Some of them just drink beer. and the brandy and the good wine and the smoke cigars. That's what diplomat. What is a diplomat? What's the subject of diplomacy? What do you do? To behave very well and to pass traffic lights without the country where you are accredited not stopping you. But we don't ask ourselves, do they also cause us war? Some of these diplomats cause us war. Can somebody, during the break, Professor Onyari and Juliet were talking about Moi's regime. But Moi's regime we had over 1,400 NGOs from France, in Maragat, in Baringo, in Sikuta Valley, in Capedo Valley. Briefcase. Can somebody, any of you who has gone to school, especially professor today on this program, tell me what those briefcases were doing? Briefcase NGOs. But the area is still cattle rustling. People, there are some people who walk half naked. There are some people who come and kill others in this 21st century. But we had 1,400 French NGOs. Aha, I brought you where you wanted. French NGOs, 1,400 million, gathered in one area of Capedo Triangle. Turkana remains the same Turkana. Baringo remains the same Baringo. Tell me, Suguta Valley remains the same Suguta Valley. Tell me, we have the same Suguta Valley where animals are being stolen every day. But we had a lot of French companies. When you grew up in Kenya, all of you are Kenyans. Did you know there was oil in Karamoja, in Turkana? How many of you knew there was oil? In the name of God, say it. Don't shame God here. I did not know. And I want to tell you frankly, I did not know. I started going to a primary school in 1962. But I did not know there was oil in Turkana. But imperialists knew there was oil. The French knew there was oil. Total Oil knew there was oil. Why is it that I did not know there was oil in Lake Chog, in Albertine region, the most militarized region in East and Central Africa? I'm giving this lecture, then that's how we do it. I surrender it for you to discuss. I will only come in when people go wrong. And that's how we are going to be doing our diplomatic shows. Albertine region. How many of you knew there was oil? How many of you knew that there was oil? That we only knew there were diamonds in Shinyanga. Tanzania produces diamond in Shinyanga. That one, they exposed it. But nobody told us there is gas, hot gas in Lamu. Hot springs, hot gas, the gas that is needed in Europe and Qatar, which we have given a contract to the Qataris. Are we bringing the war closer to ourselves when the Qataris are the ones who are sponsoring terrorism around East Africa and the Middle East? Viewers, those watching me internationally, that is the matter of a proxy war in this region. We have a proxy war in this region. A silent war. Karanja, please. I'll stay calm on your phone. We have a proxy war in the region. A silent war between Burundi and Rwanda. A silent war between Tanzania and Kenya. A silent war between Uganda and Rwanda. A silent war between DRC Congo and Rwanda. and Burundi. A silent war between Tanzania and Mozambique. A silent war between Kenya and Somalia. We have a proxy war as a result of resources. The resources that we see that God gave us are going to deliver a proxy war in the region. What happened to LAPSET? Many of you students watching of diplomacy, watching this show, away from Britain, these are the hard facts of the Africa we want and the Africa we have. A proxy war created, instigated, supplied, equipped. Those are all logistical words and logistically delivered on East African coast and in East Africa. Why is Burundi fighting Rwanda? Why? Why is Uganda's border with Rwanda closed? Why? Why is Mozambique, one province of Mozambique is gone, is taken by Islamists, ISIS? They have occupied Mozambique. In our presence, we are seeing them supplied from a part of Al-Shabaab. The main Al-Shabaab in Mogadishu is opening up. The terrorists are saying, open up, release all of them from prison. Is that not a proxy war? They release them from prison to come and do what? Are we prepared for the proxy war? My panel, in 3 minutes I'll wrap up. I want you to look at this subject, discuss it, enjoy it, in the prism of those facts and factors. What is the most disturbing factor in East Africa? What are the factors that destabilize East Africa? Is it the leadership? Is it the long stay in power? Is it the external darker forces? We were talking of deep state and the deep state, darker state and the deep state. The deputy president of Kenya has never studied political science, so he says there is a deep state because he's used to be in that deep state since he left school. He has never been anywhere outside deep state. But Your Excellency, I would like to tell you there is an outer external darker state that has no terms of reference. If you are waiting for the deep state to come for you, there is an external one, darker state, that has no terms of reference. You don't see it. It is like a corona. It is very important, therefore, for you, as a student of diplomacy and international relations, those who are wanting to study international relations, to listen to us, to listen to this program, to bring in your discussion, are East African heads of state together. If Museveni is wearing a mask, Magufuli is not wearing a mask, are we together? President Magufuli says there is no COVID in Tanzania. Kenya says there is COVID in Tanzania. In Kenya. Tells its citizens to wear masks. Uganda tells its citizens to wear masks. Rwanda tells its citizens to wear masks. Burundi tells its citizens to wear masks. Are we together? Tanzania says there is no COVID-19. South Sudan tells its citizens to wear masks. In these 4 other 6 states, people have died. We don't know how many have died anymore in Dar es Salaam. Are we together? When Kenyan traders want to cross over to Tanzania, to trade in Tanzania, they are harassed, they are told at the airport, Kenyan passports are more looked at than even a terrorist passport. I have traveled in Tanzania with a Kenyan lady who wanted to go to Tanzania, who sat by mistake on my seat. And when we picked up friendship, she's a hard-working person, CEO in here. When we arrived, luckily enough, we are all going to go to Hayati Hotel, one of the best hotels in Dar es Salaam. When I looked, after me going through with my passport and a gun, I want to go and pick my luggage, I noticed that this lady was not coming. And I looked back, I saw her doing the hands like this, arguing with the immigration officer. So I came back. I left the suitcase, then came back to the other side of immigration and asked, what is the problem? This lady is the managing director of a senior company in Kenya. Why is she being held here? Tanzania nasema mzee, tuko kwa kazi yetu, meaning we are on our duty. And we want to find out more about her passport. Alipata namna gani passport hii, lakini lazima tuulize this that. I said, my love, jameni, wewe mzee, mimi nilikuwa hapa 78, ulikuwa na miaka ngapi? I told him I was here in 1978. How old were you? I told him at immigration. My commander was Commander Lieutenant General Muzuguri, Black Mamba. Do you know them? I told them, I am Chikosi Malum 208 KJ, number 24461. I still have my number as a soldier. Ilikuwa hapo Dar es Salaam Msasani. Mzee, kwa nini unashikilia huyu mama? Mzee, sameni. The reason that I discovered later on was this Kenyan lady was being held because they just didn't want a Kenyan CEO of a company. I don't want to mention the company in town. It's a big one to come to Tanzania because she was going to take away their jobs. They discovered in her documents there was a letter. She told them she has come to establish a branch. So they were asking her for either she has got worker permit. So I asked them, how do you establish a worker permit when you have not established even a toilet where the workers will go? You need to have a toilet for short call. So the woman is coming to do feasibility study, then go back and come with all this. Assess, get to the office. Walisema, mzee, tutasameana, please. They told me that, and the woman came out immediately. I was very upset. Even their boss came to say to cool me down. Wewe rafiki yetu mtu ya Uganda bwana, wewe una shida na sisi, lakini wa Kenya hawa. So, do we have unity or purpose in East Africa? The answer is no. Who is causing this unity? The French, the Qataris, the oil diggers. Qatar has joined France to dismember East Africa. I rest my case. I open it to media. Thank you. Thank you, my panel. Thank you, my viewers. I now rest my case. I submit. There is no unity or purpose in East Africa. There is a proxy war looming in East Africa. That proxy war is created by resources, the few resources, many countries chasing oil, gold, diamonds, gas, and above all, markets. The worst part of it, enslavement. When you are discussing this paper, look at how many Kenyans are being enslaved in Saudi Arabia and Qatar and UAE, Dubai. Finally, Miriam, I'm one of those people who will never go to Dubai. And if I hear anybody who wants me to give me a holiday, to tell me, let's go to Dubai, Dubai is like an achievable or river road. I'm sorry to say that. And any of you here, don't lie to your partners that I'll take you over a weekend to Dubai. It's useless. Because it has become a river road of operations. People who have enslaved Kenyans, who beat up Kenyans, who whip Kenyans in their houses. Domestic violence. Domestic workers are being brutalized. And then you tell me you are going to Dubai. You have a Pan-African spirit. I rest my case.
All right, thank you, Doctor, there for that introduction. And you brought about the Cold Wars or the passive aggressiveness that we see among some of the East African companies. We've seen one coming from Ethiopia towards Kenya. We've seen the Kenyan-Somalia feud, which is now an open secret. And there's this proxy war between the Africa's Great Lakes region among Burundi, Rwanda, and Uganda. And all of them are said to be having insurgents who are fighting there in the DRC. It's a lot going on. Professor, which one there stands out for you from what Doctor has said?
Thank you, Miriam, for that good question and for the topic we are discussing. Doubt, Miriam, that Africa has become a new rocker stand of the great power conflicts.
We seem to be having a problem with the signal there, Professor. Can you hear us? Go ahead.
Yeah, I can hear you very well. You can't hear me?
Okay, go ahead. It's clear now.
I'm saying, Miriam, that there is no doubt Africa has become the new rockers of the great power conflict. And Dr. Masanga has put it very clear that what we are trying to see happening particularly in East Africa, the region of our interest this morning, is that these people are eyeing our resources. And remember, Africa and East Africa is the only continent in the world with its resources, with our resources intact. How do you get it? You scatter. You make people who are neighbors. And let me just have this to say, Miriam, that there is nothing you can do with your neighbor. There is nothing absolutely. You can choose your friends, but you cannot choose your neighbors. God gave you neighbors. Some of these countries have chosen their friend, like France. Dr. Masanga said, how did we reach the Rapset? The Rapset, which was going to open the northern parts of Kenya, Ethiopia, Southern Sudan, and some parts of Uganda. You no longer hear that. You saw the other day, President Kaguta Museveni was signing a deal with Brother Magufuli. That one tells you a lot. So what we need to do, African leaders, we belong to East African communities. We have got structures on how we solve conflicts. I have said from time to time, conflict will always be there, Miriam. But how do we handle those conflicts? And those who don't learn from history, they make mistakes. The East African community was disbanded in 1977. Took how many years? It has taken to have what we have at the moment. So what we need to do, the African leaders of today, and yesterday night I was having a conversation and I was trying to say that we are sometimes so proud to talk about Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, Arepareta, Kaunda, Nelson Mandela, Namda Skiwe, Kwame Nkrumah, Ben Pera, Harris Ras, name them. We are proud to say they were the great leaders. These leaders, they are doing a lot of this service. Juliet was talking about women and young people. How are you going to create the region in the region? Remember East Africa with a population of over 200 to 250 to 300 million. That is a huge market in terms of the market, and a huge population. So Miriam, this kind of procs, we must be very careful, be very, very, very careful. Qatar are coming in. It is not that they like you, no. And the colonization of Africa to take place, which is hiding our resources. We have got structures in the East African community. They take our own cases there. You may not like Uganda, you may not like Tanzania, but we are neighbors. There's nothing you can do. That's how I look at it. And this proxy of war, whoever is fighting East Africa, if you have got a case, come and confront Kenya. Come and confront Uganda. Don't. Because at the end of the day, leaders come and go. I have talked about the great Pan-African leaders. Are they there today? Our respective countries still remains. Let us do some of the things which take East Africa forward.
Mm-hmm. All right, very well. And of course, you mentioned that deal that Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni and his Tanzanian counterpart, John Magufuli, signed on the 13th of September over the weekend. That will see the two countries build a 1,445 kilometers, pipeline for crude oil worth $3.5 billion there. Daniel, the proxy wars in East Africa. Sometimes we find ourselves fighting a war that really has nothing to do with us. From what Doctor has mentioned there, what stood out for you?
Yes, of course, Miriam, I agree with both Dr. David Matsanga and Professor Jared Onyani that the argot of diplomatic conflict are now primarily fought by proxies and former colonial masters on a continent that they themselves perceive as a hotbed of instability. And that hawkish pundits have always come out to say that it's an increasingly resourceful hub, has got nothing to do but self-interest of these colonial masters. France, we have America, we have Britain, and of course, lately we have Qatar. And you have to understand that this foreign interference has been a very undesirable knot in the rope of East Africa's integration. And these are Gordian knot that has to be unwounded by the East African community. We have to come on the table and be able to sort our own mess, to be able to chart our own progress without being interfered with by the Western powers. And there's an African proverb which says that when brothers take arms and fight each other, it is the neighbors who inherit the land. And that is what is happening. You will notice that in Africa, in countries where we do have mineral resources, where we do have gas, where we do have oil, these are parts where we do have a lot of violence. Look at DRC Congo. Look at whatever is happening in Nigeria. Look at whatever is happening in South Sudan. So these are just but case studies of how these foreign countries are setting up Africans against one another, so that when they fight, we do have our resources leaving the continent. And of course, that is what we call the second scramble of Africa. And of course, when you look even at in the books of history, when we used to have, when we had the Cold War, rather, these Western nations never used to, they never fought on their soils, but rather they used third world countries as their basis of the contestation between the capitalism and the communism. And of course, when Harry Truman came up with a policy to clip the spread of communism in South America, we saw a number of political instability and coup d'etats in Argentina, Brazil, Cuba, Uruguay, and El Salvador. So these only manifest that this is something that has been ongoing. And of course, right now, whatever is happening between Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda only gives it more a better perspective. And because and all this has to do with the resources, and that's why you hear that Tanzania signed a deal with Uganda to construct a pipeline for crude oil. Where does this crude oil go to? It finds its way to the Western countries, and the biggest beneficiaries are the Western companies like BP, like Shell, like Total from France. So we have to understand that as we fight one another, as we survive our own diplomatic relations with our neighbors, as we lose our unity for the sake of the foreigners, it is our own resources that get lost and we never get benefit. And the result is that Africa will be left with nothing to share. African people will be left with no coins to rub on each other. And that will spread abject poverty, and it will only lead to deterioration of our situation to the civilians. That is my perspective, Miriam.
Right, very well. Juliet.
Juliet.
Yes.
Hello, hi. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now of, the case there that the doctor put forth during the introduction there. A lot of proxy wars that we've seen across East Africa, and the passive aggressiveness we see from Ethiopia towards Kenya, of course, as I mentioned there earlier. The misunderstanding between Kenya and Somalia is now an open secret, we know. And we've seen, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, Tanzania, and things like that. I don't know, what's your take on this and the proxy wars and, the powers that be that work to fuel this war? So we find ourselves sometimes fighting each other really on something that has nothing to do with our own interest as countries in East Africa.
First of all, thank you so much, Dr. Matsanga and host Miriam. I want to take the take of the Pan-African leaders. And I know that Lumumba said he wonders what if they were to wake up today and see, what we were fighting about today. So I sometimes find that when we have these wars, and especially wars that we should all be living well with each other, I get emotional, let me put that, because when we are busy fighting one another's neighbors, we are not able to economically drive the investment agenda that we should be driving at. I still want to be grateful in a way that despite all the challenges, we are sort of like having the discussions driven by great journalism. But I also want to challenge the journalism that sometimes can be cruel to the people of Africa. Let me put it that way. And I also want to reflect upon the citizens of Africa to be very careful in what they buy in terms of listening. And I think it is important to have civics education across our African schools and dig down in history. I want to appreciate or also maybe bring in the Arikana Chihombori, who seeks to reunite African states and also the Africans in the diaspora in a manner that she speaks in activism in areas of allowing people to think about what really happens while we are busy having wars. So I think that in terms of the light that Dr. Matsanga is bringing us to think about, I think it is a big shame when we fight one another I think that we need to reflect as countries. We need to reunite and bring peaceful resolution. And as I said earlier on, it is International Week 21st of September. And I think it's important for every citizens across Africa. Every one of us has got a responsibility of seeking peace amongst our own neighbors and ensuring that that is happening in our streets across Africa. I think that in terms of the wars, the case study of what Dr. Matsanga has just told us, whereby you are sort of stopped and somebody doesn't want you to come and work, and yet we've got a treaty. I talked about corruption earlier on. You set up a treaty that you want us to work. We've got the East African passport now. You then expect, those kind of a corrupt management. And I think, again, I come back to management. I keep saying good management is essential in any growth of any country. And I think that is something that we as Africans need to work very hard if we are to flourish and improve our generation. People keep saying the leaders of tomorrow. I keep saying the leaders of today, because it is today that we are living. The young generation are living today, and it's important that we acknowledge that whether we like it or not, in some parts of Africa, there is high unemployment rates for the youth. There is high unemployment. The people are living longer, and that's a good thing. If we're going to improve health, we need to be celebrating. There is so much to do. I mean, there is the industry, there is, there's so much jobs to create, seriously. If we could leave petty arguments of who is going to be the leader here today and start paying attention to job growth, for instance, then I think what Professor Onyari is talking about, if we could start listening to leaders that actually, I dream of a world. Professor Aliron challenged me to.
Juliet, let me come in here. Do we still have leaders? Do we have those type of leaders? I think on this program, let's be frank, Juliet, Miriam, do we have those leaders? Do we have leaders here in Africa? Apart from the last one called Mugabe, who went down, do we have leaders who can stand up and say no?
I think that the population in itself, does it select leaders? So the question, I would put back that question to the citizens: are you electing leaders that need to be the people who are leading us? So are we saying that the leaders elected themselves, Dr. Masanga? So I think that, if you're asking me, do we have leaders? Are we able to put ourselves into leadership? And if we're not able to put ourselves in leadership, what are the barriers facing the normal Mwananchi to put themselves into that leadership? And I think you will find out that even the expenses at which people, normal Mwananchi, if any professors, I mean, sometimes I've sat down and I've thought, if you wanted to run or anything, or anybody for that matter, do we really create strategies that are able to be competitive in such a way that it's honest and democratic amongst that population? And I think that's the key. So do we have good leaders? In every nation, I believe there is good leaders, and people are meant to select their own leaders. And I think the question is, why are people selecting the very same leaders that have led with atrocity in some cases? And in some cases, people will say, oh, they rigged the election. The question is, why were they there in the first place? They are able to put their name forward, that's fine. But then they are competing, they are contesting. And then the question is, are the correct procedures being followed during those elections? And I think the question is, how do we have our court systems in Africa? And what kind of improvement do we need in some of the countries? So I was talking about Arekana Chihombori and what he says. He insists that we need to be able to recall the call that was made by our Pan-African leaders. And I think that is important because their call was, if we remember the OAU, their call was an Africa that is fruitful for us all, an Africa that engages and supports and adds value to each other. And I think if we are able to draw back and also respect ourselves, I mean, I met President Museveni around March, and he was talking about the history of Uganda, for example. And I was quite amazed at the passion that President Museveni had for his country in terms of educating us in history of his nation. While other people were busy talking about economic investment, he was busy talking about history, and he wanted people to learn about the history of Uganda. And at one time I thought to myself, why is he talking about the history of Uganda? And I had to step back for a second to think about, he wants to tell people that Uganda has got beautiful set of like spaces, you know, like the tourism, and he was directing people to see the nicer places and what the country and the people were. He was not prepared to pretend that he wants a help, as he put it, in that room. He was prepared to say that we want to be able to be our own state. So, and I met also the president of Congo as well. So if I compared the two, perhaps you can ask me another time. But the question is, how well, and I also met our president, by the way, he greeted me. Thank you so much, President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, for stopping to greet me. He stopped back and he greeted me. But I want to say that it's important when they come abroad as well, for them to meet their people, for them to meet the diaspora in the essence of the program that you're doing, because many of us want peace. The biggest thing that the diaspora can create on top of the remittance, I think, is to push towards peaceful resolution in terms of the role that the diaspora needs to play, not to push forward fighting leaders, you know, like, oh, this one and this one. I think we need to be united in a great voice. And I think that would be beautifully done if people from Africa remembered that we are the children of the same countries that we came from. Many parents aspire.
Thank you very much, Juliet.
Yes.
Spare those for some minutes.
Okay.
You have another 2 minutes to wind up later on. Okay. So let's spare it and go to our correspondent in Malindi, Juliet. Thank you very much. You have raised several points, and I believe Professor Miriam and Wisonga and Karanja, who is listening on phone, and Karen, you picked some points. Do we really have leaders now? Those who can come understand. You talk of that guy who wrote about the AU, but where is he writing from? He's not writing from Africa. He's writing from Britain, where you are. Everybody has gone away. Because there is nobody here to keep us together. It's only Kenya, where you can come and talk about Pan-Africanism. Some other countries, Pierre Lumumba tried to go to Burundi and to Rwanda. No, Zambia. Because he has been criticizing several African heads of state. They blocked him from entry. You know, you remember, he was denied the visa. Thrown out because he was talking the truth. So currently in Mombasa, the situation is as it is. There is a proxy war. Let's not leave the central piece of this argument. Proxy war. Who brought it? Why is it here? Who has come here in your place in Malindi? The Qataris have found gas. Malindi, Lamu, near the Somali border. But when we hear Qatar sponsoring terrorism, you hear Qatar sponsoring acts of insubordination on other things in Africa, creating insurgency, creating, dismembering a state, the states in Somalia. What do you think?
Dr. and Miriam and my fellow panelists, I concur with all that you've said. However, there's this saying here that, when you see a tortoise is on the table, somebody brought it. Somebody brought it there. A tortoise cannot get to the table. So there's somebody somewhere who is, controlling all of this. However, what has brought my attention is the external forces. In Africa, we have countries that have gold, they have diamond, and they have it all. But if you look at the economy, they are still struggling. We have youth who are still unemployed. So much is going on, and they're not gaining anything from the resources. And this is because there are people from somewhere who are taking all of that to themselves. And that brings me to the question, why do we have regional blocks? We have these regional blocks for us to talk about such things. Let's air out. Let us check the interest of these external forces in our countries.
So Karen, regional blocks, my dear, have been captured. ECOWAS has been captured. East African Community captured. AU is captured. I've sent Stephen a list, a letter from AU now. It is there. Put it here for people to see. What a mess. What a mess is in AU. The man has appointed himself as a candidate, screened himself as a candidate, and put himself for an interview as a candidate. So you tell me, where are we? Where are we heading? Mr. Faki Musa Faki has become Faki, and has Faki recruited himself as the AU chairperson. Muhammad Faki, his name is Faki. I'm not saying anything bad. He's recruited himself. He sourced himself. Recruit is like the Senate of Nairobi. It recruits itself, arranges itself in meetings, retreat from Lungalunga up to Lamu, then return to Mombasa, then finally come to KICC. That's the Senate of Nairobi. So AU is gone. Institutions you are talking about, it's gone. East Africa, some countries cannot pay even the membership fee. It's a proxy war. Why Sudan, South Sudan cannot pay membership fee? Yet they have oil, which they export every day. And it is pumping. The pipeline is pumping every day. There's no day, even during the war. It might have stopped for 2 days. But the oil is pumping on the Red Sea, port of Port Sudan. It cannot pay $6 million as membership. Isn't it? Who takes the oil? A proxy company. Students of international relations, watch this. If your son brings you a paper called international relations, tear it to pieces. There's no subject called international relations. My sister there will tell you it is international interest. Wesonga will tell you. Professor will tell you. So, to give you time to finish your points, that is the essence. We don't have to look at that from that point of view, all of you, in the second answers you are going to give or coming back, as Miriam will choose you. Let's think about that. Is there any organization called regional organization? Where is it? Mr. Museveni cannot speak to Kagame. Kagame cannot allow Rwandese to come to Uganda direct. Rwandese fly to Dar es Salaam, then come to Kenya, then go to Uganda. They have been told not to come at all. You can't cross if you have a truck in Rwanda. Forget about it, it's gone. It will not come out. The leaders display a PR mechanism in public, but in the sense, Kenya and Tanzania are just allowing the airplanes to fly today. It has just been allowed. How much trade have we lost? Those are the things that I'm trying to bring out. That's why I chose this topic. Proxy war, not only in fighting, in trade. If Kenya is doing very well, why is Tanzania very angry? Why is Tanzania very annoyed?
Doctor, are they angry or envious? Which one?
I don't know. You describe either envious or angry. If Kenyans are hardworking, me and Juliet, when we meet an African doing something in the train in London, you are happy because he is going to earn $1 or £1. We become happy and encourage them. Here, Africans pull each other down. And not only the common people in the villages, heads of state pull each other down.
Dr. Matsanga, I call it the pull me down syndrome.
Exactly. It's called pull
I
me
came
down.
up with that.
I was in the toilet in the AU building. I had gone for a short call. And let me shock Kenyans on this. During the time we were electing Amina as the AU chairperson, I was in one of the cubicles of the toilet also doing susu.
Oh, Dr.
And guess
Matsanga.
what happened? A leader, a head of state, with his foreign minister, entered the same toilet. And they were backbiting Kenya. So I also, when I heard the names, tunawacheza sana hawa leo. So, not Swahili, they were speaking French. And I had a bit of words of French. They were saying they will play Kenya today. They will not give Kenya any vote. So what I did, I opened the door intentionally for them to see me, and they know me. Oh, Dr. Matsanga, you are here. You know, with me, with my frankness, it helps me. I said, but I have heard what you said. That is one thing that will make me be killed. And I don't know why Miriam is not teaching me to leave it. I always pray for her to teach me to leave it.
It's good to be frank. Honesty is the best
I've
policy.
been frank. I said, Your Excellency, I've heard what you were saying. So the foreign minister, who is my friend, said, don't say this thing out there. I said, no, I'm going to tell President Kenyatta. And indeed, I went straight to Amina, and the CS was then, the PS did not want to talk to me. That Monica there did not want to talk to me. I went to the president's PA and I said, you know what? We have a problem here. Those guys are not going to vote for us. They have been they have been doing it in the what? They were even telling, in fact, as we were talking, the Somali president, this man Faramijo.
This one we helped him, yeah.
Yeah, that one, that wrong man there, arrived. The one you give food here in the South B. And also joined them. He did not vote. Somalia did not vote for Amina. Tanzania did not vote for Amina. The only country that stuck with Amina is Rwanda. And Zimbabwe, that Mugabe you see. I swear Mugabe broke the Sadaka rule and they gave Kenya a vote. The rest lied. So is there any unity? Proxy war. In trade, in economics, in social life, when you wear a nice shirt and you're in Tanzania, you could easily be thrown in India. It has become like, I'm a Ugandan, no problem. Sisi Waganda wanatupenda sana. Tuna mavurugano na watu ya Tanzania. Lakini wa Kenya na Tanzania wako na mavurugano. It is like in South Africa. If you go there, if you don't have a good heart and you have heart ailment, don't go there. If you're a Kenyan, they will kill you. They don't like anybody from Kenya, Somalia, Mozambique, and Nigeria. But if you're Ugandan like me, they say, oh, you are our comrades. So, a proxy war. The point as we come, as she finalizes and we bring in, you go to round number 2, as time is flying against us, is there any hope that one day we shall get rid of this? I told you one secret. 1,400 NGOs. You know who was paying them? You want to know?
France.
The French. Have you seen the cattle rustling stopped? The army went in and there is no more cattle rustling in the Capedo Triangle. Am I right? Mm-hmm. But who was paying the cattle rustlers to create chaos so that nobody discovers that Lake Maragat, there is hot water where you can put an egg and it boils, you eat. Eh? They don't want you to go there. They want to go there themselves. Why? You could discover why the hot water comes on top of, below the hot water,
the hot springs.
There is hot gas.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There is gas, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It is that gas like your cylinder, which is pumping the water, and the water is, and the surface of the oil with the lava from down, the lava, which is volcanic, is heating this gas, which becomes hot and finds water on top. Germany, we have done physics all over, or chemistry. Oil and water which settles on top of the other.
It's oil.
Unaona hiyo question is kama tunaenda interview tunaanguka. Sasa oil and water, Miriam, you got it. Oil and water. So something has settled down, it pumps a heat which boils the water in Maragat, Lake Maragat, and so on. People did not want, the French did not want us to know. Look, the French lied to us that they were building something called electricity. In which place is that? in Elengoya Marakwet. Takwel, is it Takwel?
Backward.
Takwel, isn't it? You go and look at Takwel today. It looks like a deserted ghost town. They were just trying to tell us, don't discover this oil. Wait until time will come when we discover it. Have this machine. Why do you think they went there? Are there no other forms where they could have placed that hydroelectricity power? They wanted to have that oil. And lastly, they came here when they were defeated in South Sudan. They couldn't get oil in South Sudan. Total Oil crossed over to Kenya and told Kenyans, we have missed oil up there. We are looking for oil here. If you don't give us, we are going ahead, moving on towards Mogadishu. But in Mogadishu, if you have refused to give us oil in Kenya, you will not have peace in Mogadishu. Have you seen the peace in Mogadishu? Is it there?
No.
They are now there seated in Mogadishu advising Farimajo to release even terrorists. You say all Al-Shabaab commanders be released. Wow. So they come, now they will come. Because the ones they are released, kila pale tunarudi kwa Corona had kept them a bit down. We are done. There's a move to release all the prisoners of Al-Shabaab. Because France, Qatar, and others are behind the peace talks which are taking place in Doha. Mm-hmm. Isn't that the proxy war we have here? Mm-hmm. So, viewers, back to Miriam as we conclude.
Let's bring Karanja in. He hasn't said
yes,
anything.
Karanja is in. Mr. Karanja, you have 1.5 minutes.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, go ahead.
Let me say the conversation is great. I'm learning a lot of what is feeling in Africa community. And I want to say leadership is the key to everything. If our leaders fail to unite this community, then left out nothing else. Therefore, let our leaders, especially in our country and in these other countries, to unite and form a good East Africa, to take it back where it was in the year 2002. Because where it is heading now, it is almost collapsing. I think it does not even exist as we speak, because we saw what the Tanzanians are doing to Kenya, especially with the coronavirus thing. Kenyans were treated like they are the ones who are bringing coronavirus to Tanzania, especially the truck drivers. They were humiliated. That is not what we want. We want peace in this country. We also saw another factor that is affecting the East African community. When these communities were established, especially the East African community, it was there to ease the ease of doing business among these countries. But you find that that trade is no longer happening as it was supposed to do, because there is also the importation of goods and the exportation of goods across these countries. And we find that some countries that are dealers of the other countries, they are importing, they are bringing goods that are fake goods to these other countries. We experienced it in our country when we had the mercury sugar, and it was traded from a country from East Africa. This kind of things, this kind of diplomacy, kind of war that is misunderstanding, is what is dealing with the East African communities as well. Because when you start importing these goods, fake goods, those standardized goods to other countries so that they be affected, so that you can kill their businesses. We saw Magufuli banning chickens that were from Kenya. We saw them taking cows from the narrow boat that are there. This kind of thing, this is what is killing our community. Some countries are trying their best to bring unity in these countries, but there's this kind of mentality that has been built, especially in Tanzania this thing of capitalism. I understand when Julius Nyerere did not advance the capitalism agenda. It was more of a socialist than Ujamaa policy. Therefore, Tanzania, to a point, they were left behind by Kenyans. Because Kenyans are hardworking, Kenyans are, they are kind of, a policy of individuals in Kenya. Therefore, when Kenyans go to Tanzania, they are treated as enemies. They are treated like people of some make their people collapse. They are people who got competition. And that competition is what we want, so that other countries will go together. Besides even the media demonstration, when it was going in Tanzania, they opposed it because they felt like the economy of Kenya is global even higher. That kind of mentality must be fought, and the people who do that is leaders. And I like the point of Juliet from London. He has to bring even both the right leaders. And I think it's high time as an African community to start championing for good governance, start championing for the right leaders in helm of power, so that this kind of things have leaders to be able to deal with them in a way that is human, in a way that does not bring division to this community. I think that leadership plays a big role.
Okay.
Must get the right people. And the people who do that is as the citizens of this country. We must start being champions, we must be crusaders of good governance, so that we still good leaders who will bring this community together, and who is now the kind of legislation in this country, so that we will not treat this as a charity of Kenya happens when it comes to that matter. Therefore, let's unite and have a common purpose. And I think the constitution that governs the community should be looked at again, and leaders will commit to it, so that we have a environment that is what will take care of at the end of the day. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Karanja. Thank you very much for contribution. Let's look at it. Let's look at the engagement. Let's look at the treaties. Do they work? Let's stop people who are coming in, who want to divide us. Our leaders, it's democracy on the same level. Democracy can bring a proxy. For example, Tanzania now does not want to talk about COVID-19. Kenya is talking about COVID-19. The Kenyan airspace has just allowed Tanzanian travelers to enter Kenya without 14-day quarantine. We are doing it because Tanzania has put people in a corner. Is it for commercial? What is more important? Is it the commercial basis or the money? The money or the health of the people? Mm-hmm. To me, I think we have wrong people advising some people in this government. You cannot allow Tanzania to come here 14 days quarantine. No. I think time has come back where people can say, if they don't want to wash their hands, they should not come here. And you are allowing them to fly where we have corona. Britain allows you to enter Heathrow. If they see you mangering everywhere, police will tell you to go back. A message will come on your phone to return home. You haven't finished your 14 days of quarantine. How are we going to control Tanzanians who have not got treatment to come amongst us, hire our hotels, and sleep on our beds with the same corona? And then they go. because we want to trade. It is up to you. I've just seen the letter that has just come in. It's surprising. This is, for me, leave our children at home. Let's die first. If God takes us, but the children can make a generation tomorrow. Now we are making another silly mistake. And I hope His Excellency is hearing me. That is when people will be blaming us. We allowed China Airline to land here. Now we are allowing Tanzanian airspace with planes, people who are not checked, to arrive here. Because we want 540. 540 is not a plane I can use. It's a matatu. Even if you gave me for free, I can't buy it. It's very cheap. It can even, I can't travel in it. Haki ya Mungu, God bless me. Even if my last person left on earth called my mom, and they said there is a burial, I will not land there with 540. I rather stay or drive up to the burial place. 540 is not a plane to eat. What? It walks in the sky like a matatu. Papa, 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 papa. So, what is this? What trade is there? What trade is there? Let people come and take. Let Mutahe Kagwe, where are you? Who are you who allowed these guys to come without 14-day quarantine? When every country is putting everywhere in the world 14 days. Who you are allowing again? Who you are bringing more problems for? The Minister of Transport, Macharia, wake up! We have defended you enough from there. Unatuletea mashida kila siku kwa government hii. Hey, what will you do? What? We fought for these guys to come and rule this country. Where were you, some of you? Nyenye. Boss, no. You know now you are allowing Tanzanians to come in here, enter free. Surely they enter free. They have not been tested. For us, we are being tested. Even when you want to go to the toilet, you have to be tested. This is going to spread again. Are we not expecting a second wave? It will come. Look at the number of trailers in Uganda. 3/4 of the patients of COVID-19 are Tanzanians. Trailer drivers. Because it has been allowed free for fall. Every station they run, Museveni had to buy 2 ambulances, mobile ambulances, to place one at Mutukula and one in Masaka, in order to test them rapidly. Do we have those ambulances here? We are not discriminating Tanzanians, but we are saying if it is an international law that they have declared COVID-19 a pandemic, accept a pandemic and take the regulations. You cannot come in here and you are given 14-day quarantine free when Kenyans are having 14 days quarantine in their houses. Unakuja kutuua. Watu wako hapa watakufa. If Magufuli does not want people to fly to his country, he will need them. He will need us one day. He can build those buildings, but he might not fly there. He might not, nobody will sleep in them. What is going on with the foreign ministry in this country, Kenya? Are we in trouble? Mr. President, are we in trouble? We look at this type of mess. Ministry of Transport conniving with Ministry of Finance to allow people to sure. Have you read the statement? Why don't you put the statement to allow them to 14 days? Even in Britain, which has got ventilators spared underground, under River Thames, they have spare ventilators in case the world becomes hot. They will protect very many. Juliet, thank you very much for the show. Thank you for joining us. Juliet, we are where you want to go. We want to thank you so much this morning. And I think we have done very well, Professor. Apart from making our closing remarks, we allow you just 1 minute to say bye-bye to us. Go ahead.
Thank you very much to everyone watching. And for me, it's a call for peace. I see people are commenting on your page here today. People are saying, I can see that a friend of mine, Mark, is also watching. And he asked me to say that in Mozambique, we should say ISIS should stop in Mozambique. So thank you so much, Mark, for watching from wherever you're watching us from. And I want to just thank you for the passion that you have for Kenya and South Africa, for the call of peace and for people to, you're a doctor. And I love to say that you love to bring to play sort of like devil's advocate so that you make people think. I want to thank you for to Dr. Matsanga, the founder of Punch Africa TV. We appreciate you for the love that you bring across Kenya and also the education that you bring so that we are able to come back to our senses, as you put it. I just want to say thank you for inviting me to your show here today. Both programs have been exciting, different as usual, and I'm excited always whenever you say to me you want me to come and comment in your show so that people get to hear, a good change. I want to call upon good governance across Africa, not just in Kenya, and thank you so much for helping us to understand the issues of peace treaty, the issues of being responsible patriotic citizens in a manner that is responsible for each and every one of us. I take this opportunity as well to thank the host, Miriam. Many thanks for creating great programs and supporting the workforce of Dr. Matsanga. And thank you so much for the programs that you air every single day to help us engage across Kenya. Thank you for the passion of helping to create a journalism that allows learning. So I just want to say here in Britain today, it's just gone 11:10. Right here, I was here right down for breakfast. Dr. Matsanga wanted me to be right down here, so I tried my best. He woke me.
Go back and eat your breakfast.
I did have my breakfast. You saw me eating my breakfast, and then someone is picking me up, so I knew that I had to say goodbye. But I also want to say that thank you so much to my family who is also watching, and also to all the friends and people who've been commenting. I take this opportunity to thank you. I'm a Kenyan as well, and it's a goodbye from me. Thank you.
Keep smiling all the way to Piccadilly Circus.
And we are waiting for you. Come back next year. We want to say hello to you. Stop saying
next year. I'm coming back at the end of this month. I will be in the capital city.
Okay. I'm
Yes.
definitely looking forward to seeing you.
Yes, then I will call you back down in Surrey. And then
Asante.
we can have a pint if there is time, but if it is not there. But it's now there is social distancing, so stay where you are.
Asante sana. It's great to meet all your panelists as well, Karanja and Professor Jared. Kwaheri.
Bye.
As well. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Thank you very much, viewers. That was Juliet Makapira from London, one of our not correspondents, but one of our panelists today. And she has given us quite a lot of, we don't agree on a number of things, including the parties. I'm a Labour Party member throughout since 1987, and I remain a Labour Party member. God bless me. And and she is a Liberal Democrat. Then there is another councillor, a Kikuyu lady, who is the mayor of Dagenham. She is conservative. Hapo sasa tushikane kabisa. Kama we meet in town, tunawakana moto in all these conferences.
Prof, I have to, Doctor, I have to go.
Thank you very much, all of you. Thank you, Professor Onyari. If you have one word, say it.
Let me just have this to say, that Africa needs to be engineered, Africa needs to be rebirthed, and Africa needs for us to reclaim our lost glory. We have to work together as brothers and sisters, even if we don't agree. I love Africa. I love East Africa. I love Kenya. Kenya, we have done all that we could humanly possible to accommodate our brothers. There is no country around the region. Even what is happening in Southern Sudan, our President Uhuru Kenyatta to appoint a special envoy, Kalonzo Musyoka, to see how committed we are to see a peaceful and a prosperous Southern Sudan is there. We went out of our way to take Kenya Defense Forces to go to Somalia and take Kismayo, and there's a little bit of stability in Somalia. The government of Somalia, even their parliament, they are to sit here in Kenya. We are committed. I know out of the region that our brothers, a small brother may be very successful in life because I say God has said so. But we need to have a leadership which thinks about East Africa, thinks about Africa. And the problem facing the continent of Africa must be solved by Africans. Solutions will never, never, never come from outside to solve Africa's problems. And let me just have this to say, of what business do you have to believe someone as coming all the way as Qatar and France, and you just betray your brother who is here? You can do all that you could, but we will still remain neighbors because God designed that we have to be there. I will continue urging our president and other leaders to continue engaging, to continue talking to one another, to continue having a discussion and a debate. Where have we gone wrong? Can we do it better? I was a while ago saying to Juliet, at least if they cannot do anything to the East Africa region, to countries around East Africa, please live the way you found them. Don't just do this way. A Burundi cannot come to Rwanda, Rwanda cannot come to Uganda, a Kenya cannot do. No, let us be. I've talked about, Dr. Masanga was talking about the trade, and I did indicate a population of 250 million is a huge population for us to do trade in East Africa. And what we need to do to East Africa, we have to promote trade amongst the people of East Africa. Because how do you take care about the young people? If we don't take care of the young people as a region, these young people will take care of us. And when they will take care of us, you may not like it, Miriam. So that's what my take here is. May our leaders sober up, go to East Africa community. There's a mechanism on how we solve conflict. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Karen, your last words, your last thoughts.
Thank you very much, Miriam. And I'm told in diaspora, if you're a Nigerian and you meet an African from Cameroon or South Africa, you become so close. You feel like you've met your brother or sister. I think that kind of spirit is what we need to bring back home. Let us live together, and instead of some of us following these long routes. I want to get to a certain country, but I have to go through so many other before I get there. That is not the right way of doing things. So let us guard what we have jealously. Somebody said that yesterday when we were having the talk with our friends from Zimbabwe. So let us guard our resources jealously. And at least by doing that, we'll be headed somewhere.
All right, very well. Thank you so much. Karanja, if you can give us your last parting short.
And I want to thank the panelists for their good contributions to the show. And I want to tell Africans, wherever they are watching from, Africans is in the hands of Africans. Let's not allow the external forces to come and set the agenda for us. Let us set the agenda for ourselves. We can make it. If our forefathers fought independence.
All right. We seem to be having a problem there with the Karanja. Daniel, are you still there?
Yes, Miriam, and perhaps I'll just make a very brief parting shot. And for me, it's to the African leaders, we have to realize that the West has always given us a misdiagnosis of what is ailing us, and always created an excuse and a pretext of changing our lifeblood, our conduit of economic empowerment, which is our minerals, from Africa into their own countries for their own personal reasons. So it is for that reason that African leaders have to realize that the solution of a progressive Africa, of a bettered bilateral relations lies with them. They have to sit on the table. They have to agree to take Africa forward and be able to safeguard our resources. That is the only way that we shall be able to scale the ladder of eminence and economic empowerment.
All right, thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you very much, all of you. If you have time to, do you need me to say anything more? No.
All right.
The only thing that you need to take home is East or West. It was coronavirus that stopped this proxy war. If Corona was not around, by now, Uganda and Rwanda, there would have been a war. Burundi and Rwanda, there have been a war. We only forgot to touch the Tanzania-Mozambique conflict, which is gaining a lot of momentum. But the proxy war of trade embargoes, trade reprisals, trade stoppages, words, diplomatic harsh words still exist between Tanzania and Kenya and Somalia. Thank you very much, all of you. Those who can come at 3 p.m., one of the best, I think Karen liked it the other day. It was one of the best shows, very interesting. At times you laugh, at times you cry tears. Today's one is for tears only, because we have caught people who do double tap, and we are going to put it to Kenyans to judge, and we leave. Some of us not speak much. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Doctor, and thank you for the rest of our panelists. We shall see you at 3 p.m. Bye-bye for now.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.